Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shinvatam Swakata Krishna,
Swakata Krishna,
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha,
Punya Shravakatitanaha,
Vidyantasto Vibhadrani,
Vidyantasto Bhadrani,
Vedunoti Suhritsatam,
Vedunati Saritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu,
Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Bhagavati Uttamasloke,
Bhagavati Uttamasloke,
Bhakti Naistiki,
Bhakti Bhagavati Naistiki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So now we have today reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Surprise, we're on text 5. So I didn't know that Monday was a class this time. So, let's see. So it goes. Okay. Change. I found this not properly. Try this way. Just jammed and it's jammed again. It's hard to read this. Hold on a second. My thing is acting up. How am I supposed to function? It's going to do this. Okay. Rajovacha.
Rajovacha.
Samichimam.
Samichimam.
Vacho.
Vacho.
Brahman.
Brahman.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Samichinam. Brahman.
Sarva.
Sarva.
Yasya.
Yasya.
Tavanaka.
Tavanaka.
Sarva Yasya Tavanaka.
Sarva Yasya Tavanaka.
Tamo.
Tamo.
Vishiryate.
Vishiryate.
Mayam.
Mayam.
Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Hare.
Hare.
Katayata.
Katayata.
Katam.
Katam.
Hare Katayata Katam.
Hare Katayata.
Rajavacha.
Rajavacha.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Sarvagyasya Tavanaka. Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Hare Katayata Katam.
Hare Katayata.
I think that was that twice. Rajovacha.
Rajavacha.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Sarvagyasya Tavanaka. Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Hare Katayata Katam.
Hare Katayata Katam.
One more time, thank you. Rajovacha.
Rajovacha.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Samichinam vacho.
Sarvagyasya Tavanaka.
Sarvagyasya Tavanaka.
Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Hare Katayata Katam.
Hare Katayata Katam.
Okay, listen.
Rajovacha. Samichinam vacho Brahman. Sarvayasya Tavanaka. Tamo Vishiryate Mayam. Hare Katayata Katam.
Rajovacha.
Rajovacha.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Samichinam vacho Brahman.
Sarvagyasa Tavanaka.
Sarvagyasya Tavanaka.
Ramo is it or Vishriyate Mayam.
Tamo Vishiryate Mayam.
Hare Katayata Katam.
Hare Katayata Katam. Rajovacha. Samichinam vacho Brahman. Sarvagyasya Tavanaka. Tamo Vishiryate Mayam. Hare Katayata Katam. Rajovacha. Samichinam vacho Brahman. Sarvagyasya Tavanaka. Tamo Vishiryate Mayam. Hare Katayata Katam. Rajovacha. Samichinam vacho Brahman. Sarvayasya Devanaga Tamo Vijayam Hare Tatha Yatha Katham Rajovacha Samichinam Vacho Brahman
Sarvajnasya
Tavayasya Tvagana Tamo Vishyati Mayam Hare Katha Katha Katham.
Word meanings. Raja Uvacha.
Raja Vacha.
The king said.
The king said.
Samichinam.
Samichinam.
Perfectly right.
Perfectly right.
Vachaha.
Vachaha.
Speeches.
Speeches.
Brahman.
Brahman.
O learned Brahmana.
O learned Brahmana.
Sarvagyasya.
Sarvayasya.
One who knows all.
One who knows all.
Tabe.
Tabe.
Tava.
Tava.
Your. Anagha.
Anaga.
Without any contamination.
Without any contamination.
Do you remember the name of a demon who had lots of contamination? Aghasura. This is Anagha, without sin. Tamaha.
Tamaha.
The darkness of ignorance.
The darkness of ignorance.
Vishiryate.
Vishiryate.
Gradually disappearing.
Gradually disappearing.
Mayam.
Mayam.
Unto me.
Unto me.
Are.
Are.
Of the Lord.
Of the Lord.
Katayata.
Katayataha.
As you are speaking.
As you are speaking.
Katam.
Katam.
Topics.
Topics.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Maharaj Parikshit said, O learned Brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord. Please repeat. Maharaj Parikshit said,
Maharaj Parikshit said,
O learned Brahmana,
O learned Brahmana,
you know everything because
you know everything because
you are without material contamination.
you are without material contamination.
Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me
Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me
appears perfectly right.
appears perfectly right.
Your speeches are gradually destroying
Your speeches are gradually destroying
the darkness of my ignorance.
the darkness of my ignorance.
For you are narrating the topics of the Lord.
For you are narrating the topics of the Lord.
Purport. The practical experience of Maharaj Parikshit is disclosed herein, revealing that transcendental topics of the Lord act like injections when received by the sincere devotee from a person who is perfectly uncontaminated by material tinges. In other words, reception of the messages of Srimad Bhagavatam from professional men heard by a Karmakandiya audience never acts miraculously as stated here. Devotional hearing of the messages of the Lord is not like hearing ordinary topics. Therefore, the action will be felt by the sincere hearer by experience of the gradual disappearance of ignorance. Yasya deve parabhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaite katita yarta prakashante mahatmanaha. When a hungry man is given food to eat, he feels satiation of hunger and the pleasure of dining simultaneously. Thus, he does not have to ask whether he has actually been fed or not. The crucial test of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is that one should get positive enlightenment by such an act. So, Om Jnana Tirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So that verse is a perfect example. So the spiritual master opens our eyes. Any ordinary speech, somebody talks to you and doesn't open your eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. It just, you get some facts maybe. And you remain in the same ignorance, basically. The same essential ignorance. You may know, some facts you didn't know about the material world, but you remain in the same ignorance. And you don't feel any different, except, okay, I know some facts. But when the spiritual master speaks, then opens our eyes. We feel afterwards our eyes are more open with the torchlight of knowledge. So torchlight of knowledge, and the knowledge, of course, is knowledge of the soul. So the soul is made of such chit ananda, which is eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So that knowledge is part of what the soul is made of. As eternal spirit souls, our natural position is to be always enwrapped in loving devotional service to Krishna. So that's part of who we are. So then that means the knowledge that I'm a soul who serves Krishna, the great soul, is part of my nature is as a soul. Okay, so all of us. And that accompanies us. The soul is in the body. We're all souls traveling around in ignorance. The ignorance is just a covering. The soul is made of this eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Soul is eternal. Soul eternally, naturally, knowledge is part of who the soul is, part of what the soul is. And bliss, of course, the bliss of serving Krishna, all covered over now by ignorance. So this is a different kind of, if somebody gives you some material facts, then you go, okay, you've collected some new material facts. You've expanded your concept of the way things are in the world a little bit. So, but it didn't reveal something you already have. The difference is that we already have this knowledge. It's so covered over by this stubborn ignorance that we're attached to. So when the spiritual master comes and he speaks this knowledge to us, it's so powerful. It's more powerful than the ignorance. So we feel some change. We feel some light. Also, the super soul dwelling in the heart helps us with that. He shines the lamp of knowledge on everything. So that gradually, when we hear from the spiritual master, gradually it's this light shines on it and we see it in the spiritual way. We see everything in their spiritual relationship. Whether it's matter, we understand it's only matter. When it's a body, it's only the body, temporary. We understand everything, and more, we're hungering for that bliss. And we're hungering for eternity too. So we're hungry. We're scared of death. We know we're going to die, and we don't like that. So we're hungering for some eternity, for some, sense that, for some knowledge that we're not going to die, and we're hungering for the bliss that's natural to the soul, but it's covered up, can't act. And so this knowledge is transcendental knowledge. Is like eating a delicious meal. It's delicious coming in, delicious when we hear it, and it makes us feel satisfied. So this is Maharaj Parikshit's experience here, that he can experience, even as Shukadeva Goswami speaks, your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance. He can feel it. He can feel it changing, because even though he was a pure devotee of the Lord, he didn't know everything about it. He, in a way he did, but in a basic way, but he didn't know as much, it's growing in him. Of course, we can always grow in our knowledge. We're growing all the time. So he was feeling the change. He was feeling the darkness being destroyed. The super soul in the heart, same thing. The super soul and the spiritual master are essentially non-different. The spiritual master is a manifestation of the super soul. It took me a long time to understand that one, because I thought, well, what about the spiritual master as a soul, individual soul, right? How does that work? Well, of course, because he's speaking for the super soul, and the spiritual master is more in tune with the super soul than the disciple. So when the spiritual master speaks, the spiritual master is representing the super soul, so the super soul empowers and is speaking through that. So it just goes together. And so I'm trying to bring exact train of thought here. Anyway, the idea is that feeling your ignorance getting destroyed. You can feel it. And even new devotees when they join, they can very soon preach basic philosophy to other people. They can very soon answer questions. A little reading, a little hearing, and the parts fall into place right away. The super soul shining light in the heart. The The preaching they've been getting is from reading Prabhupada's books, The Pure Devotee, or hearing people repeat what the Pure Devotee said and what they've realized. And it acts fast. And before you know it, this new devotee is able to explain Krishna consciousness to new people. So it's because the knowledge that's there is being uncovered. The darkness of ignorance is being destroyed. It's there. It's there within everybody. But we need a lot of help because why are we under this darkness? Because the senses are strong, the false ego is very strong, the conditioning for so many lifetimes is very strong, and we are accustomed to getting our information from matter, essentially. So the senses, the sciences, the materialistic people, so we're accustomed like that to get our information from matter. And even when we try to act with intelligence, we try to consult our intelligence, which is where the Supersoul speaks to us. Intelligence is a subtle material element. So then, because we can't hear the Supersoul speak directly, so intelligence gets formed, and we get a guidance. So we're so accustomed, so conditioned to getting our information from matter that it's really hard to get beyond. And matter is made up of ignorance. They say, well, the three modes, but the ignorance is never gone. You be in the mode of goodness, you're never free from ignorance. So ignorance as a mode of nature is there, and ignorance in the sense, use the same word, ignorance in the sense of not knowing, not having the information, because it's been covered over and forgotten for a long time. So we totally forgot what we know. What we know in our heart, it's there, it just needs uncovering, but we've totally forgotten it. So the spiritual master uncovers it by speaking the spiritual truth. And we can feel it, like we don't have to ask whether we're being fed. Like we don't have to be, I was quite excited when I was new about learning, well, we can figure out our own stage of advancement. But you can, in the beginning, you don't understand it correctly too well, but you start to understand it. But gradually you get to where you can tell exactly about where you are, your stage of advancement. Because there's so much information about it. And so much discussion of the symptoms of the different levels, which might be a good thing to talk about right now. So there's 9 stages of advancement. First one is somebody say Shraddha, then it should get me going, I should be tuned into it now. Shraddha, which is faith. So the first you have some faith, there's something here, I want it, it's worthwhile. Then sadhu sangha, better hang out with the devotees, they have this, I want to hang out with them. Then they teach you, the devotees teach you. Then Madhava-priya, you accept, you choose a spiritual master, you accept initiation, you begin to be trained. You've been qualifying yourself to say vows, and you've said vows, and the rest of your life you're going to live on this higher platform, and grow from there. So you get all trained up in all the visible stuff, in Madhava-priya, the chanting, the etiquette, the regulative principles, the little rules, all the other rules, the deity service, all these different things, cleanliness, all the different visible things is in Madhava-priya. And then gradually the anartha nivritti, which has already started, but it comes on strong. Stuff you don't like in yourself that isn't very pure comes up, gets exposed, you have to deal with it. Sometimes you can work on it yourself, and sometimes you just have to ask Krishna, please help. And so that goes on a long time, but when most of it is done, you are at the platform of nishta, which means steadiness in devotional service, and it means more than just showing up for your scheduled service on time all the time. It means inside you don't cease your devotional service of loving devotion to Krishna, loving remembrance of Krishna and serving Krishna, that stays steady inside. Because the lower modes are just about gone and influencing you, and your anarthas are just about gone. If they were all the way gone, you'd have prema. But they're just about gone. So then you're in the higher stages, and that you get this ruchi, then asakti. Ruchi is next, thank you. What I do without you. and ruchi, you get this overwhelming relishing taste for devotional service. And we have a taste before, we like it, but not this kind of taste. This is really strong. And then asakti, you get attached to the person you are serving. That emotional attachment starts to be there to the person. Krishna is more and more real to you. And you start feeling the emotions of it. You start feeling it. Then, you see, Baba, you have the symptoms? And I'm a little confused right now. And it's Baba, it's the beginning of prema. And you start feeling the symptoms. And somewhere in asakti, you start to have the idea, you start to get a glimmer of who you are in the spiritual world, your constitutional position. So you start to get a glimmer of that. And you start to feel the emotions of that. And so in prema, of course, to appear, no more ignorance, no more anarthas at all, full-blown symptoms and emotions of your ecstatic symptoms. You might cover it, might be showing of your relationship with Krishna, and it's just about like you're in the spiritual world. And so these are the stages of advancement. And when one gradually starts to understand these stages, then one can examine oneself and say, well, that's not a lot of anarthas. I did get the basic training, so I must be in anartha nivritti. And I'm not that steady yet because I forget Krishna. So anartha nivritti, you can figure out, that's a long stage. Good job. So probably a lot of us are in that stage. So we can examine, we can learn, we can actually study the anarthas. And we can see, okay, which ones do I have, which ones have I gotten rid of, like that. We can examine this. So this is knowing that your hunger is being satiated. That's how this fits in. That you can feel, it feels good to eat. It tastes good. And you're still feeling satisfied. Because what are you hungry for? You're hungry for a sense of eternity and bliss, ananda. So, because you're afraid of death and you're miserable. So we're hungry for those things, and the knowledge is awakening. So we can sense how we can tell that we're getting satisfied by this. So let's see, anything else I can talk about here? Like mentioned earlier, I didn't know there was a class yesterday, so I prepared for the class that was yesterday.
Actually, we didn't finish the whole course,
Oh, really?
Because it's a very long course.
How far did you get? I can maybe look
We came up to Ashlisha Vapada Nastu Mam. The
Oh my
last
gosh, you didn't get to any of them. Okay. You didn't get to, there's all these verses. Okay.
Yeah, there's so much more to that purport.
Then I'm going to read text 3 and 4, the translation again, just to kind of tune in.
Yeah.
O great sages, the great soul, Maharaj Parikshit, constantly wrapped in thought of Lord Krishna, knowing well his imminent death, renounced all sorts of fruitive activities, namely acts of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, and thus fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna, and asked all these questions exactly as you are asking me.
Can I, that just before you get there, what you were just talking about, can we just say something there? Or I forget.
About the advancement?
No. The very first, Svetashvatara Upanishad that the Yasha Deva, Devi, it's in the purport.
Oh, it does, in my phone it doesn't identify it.
Yes, so the
Oh, it does here, okay.
So the translation to that, if I remember, is to those who have implicit faith in the Guru and the Supreme Lord, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed.
Oh.
So, like you were saying, the sound vibration from the spiritual master hearing. It's a question of how open you are. You can hear but not hear. Or hear partially, or think you hear, but just like you're talking about examining oneself. And whatever those faults are, sometimes you can't see unless it becomes revealed to you by some awkward situation. Oh, I'm so filled with pride, or something like that. And I'm still a little rusty. So, so that I just wanted to make that point that, when you have complete, it says implicit faith, is the actual translation, no doubts. you're actually open to hearing the spiritual master, it's automatically revealed.
Thank you.
So it's a gradual process.
That's nice. I wish that translation was in here because I thought it was about the satiation of hunger. Thank you very much. Yeah, my phone. I read my phone because it's a whole lot easier to read, but it doesn't didn't tell the source of this. So, and of course there wasn't a translation. Thank you. That was really nice. Yeah, it depends on. We can be closed. We can hear, and we can have an attitude of pride or something, and think, well, yeah, but I know this other thing.
Or you're not paying attention, or whatever.
Yeah, not paying attention. Yeah.
You're not feeling well. So many things.
Yeah, that too.
It's a gradual thing, and then all of a sudden, you're open. It's like tuning into the station.
Thank you.
Thanks,
was
Super
good.
Soul. Thanks,
That was
Super
good.
Soul.
Yeah. Let me get on reader again.
I hope I didn't ruin your train of thought.
No, that's okay, because I was just going to start a new section, and it starts with reading it. So, Ashlishyava paravatampi nashtamam adarshanam marmahatam kavotuva yatatata vidadatu lampato matprananatas saivanapaha. So this is the 8th verse of the Shikshastika, which is right in this booklet, and that's how far you got yesterday. So there's a translation. Lord Krishna, who is the lover of many devotees, women, may embrace this fully surrendered maidservant, or may trample me with his feet, or he may render me brokenhearted by not being present before me for a long duration of time, but still he is nothing less than the absolute Lord of my heart. And there's another one, Srila Rupa Goswami spoke thus: Virachaya mai dalam dina bando dayamiva katir ihana bhavata kachid anyamamasti nipatatu shata koti nirbaramba nabambaha tadapi kila payodat stuyate chaptakena. O Lord of the poor, do what you like with me. Give me either mercy or punishment, but in this world I have none to look to except your lordship. The Chataka bird always prays for the cloud, regardless of whether it showers, rains, or throws a thunderbolt. This bird is supposed to just live on rain only. I think in practical, the bird probably, but it does something that causes it to be like a ostrich hides its head in the sand, a swan separates the milk from the water, it says. There usually isn't milk in the water, so I don't know how they know.
The bird gets the first raindrop.
Chataka always gets the
from
first
the cloud.
Gets the first raindrop?
From the cloud. Right from the rain cloud.
Chataka bird.
Chataka, yeah.
So
sometimes when he's up in the cloud, he wants to get the pure rainwater, he's struck by lightning. And that's used as an analogy with Narada Muni.
Wow.
How Narada Muni was struck with the lightning.
Wow. So that's how we are. With either mercy or punishment, we just want Krishna. Srimad Madhava-priya Puri, the grand spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya, took leave of all karma kandiya obligations in the following words: Sandhya vadana badram astu bhavato bosna natubhyam namo bodeva pitarascha tarpana vido naham kshama kshamatam shamyatam yatra kwapi nishadya yadava kulo tamasya kamsadvishaha smaram agam harami tadalam manye kim anyename. No, I'm not reading this well spontaneously. I practice because I thought this is my verse. So quotation: In my evening prayer, all good unto you. O my morning bath, I bid you goodbye. O demigods and forefathers, please excuse me. I'm unable to perform any more offerings for your pleasure. Now I have decided to free myself from all reactions to sin simply by remembering anywhere and everywhere the great descendant of Yadu and the great enemy of Kamsa, Lord Krishna. I think that this is sufficient for me. So what is the use of further endeavors? Srimad Madhava-priya Puri said further, Mugdhamam nigadantu niti napunna brantam muhur vaidika mandam vandava sanchaya jada diyam muktadara sodaraha unmatam danino viveka chatura kamam mahadambikam muktum nakshamate managapi Mano Govinda Padas Triham. Let the sharp moralist accuse me of being illusioned. I do not mind. Experts in Vedic activities may slander me as being misled. Friends and relatives may call me frustrated. My brothers may call me a fool. The wealthy Mammonites may point me out as mad. Mammonites, that's when God can't serve God and mammon, which is money. And the learned philosophers may assert that I am much too proud. Still, my mind does not budge an inch from the determination to serve the lotus feet of Govinda, although I am unable to do it. The humility of the devotee. And also Prahlad Maharaj said, he didn't say the humility of the devotee, I did. Dharmartha kama iti yogihitas trivarga iksha trayinaya dano vididha chavarta manye tareka etad akilam nigamasya satyam swatmarpat panam swa suridad paramasya pumsaha. Religion, economic development, and sense gratification are celebrated as three means of attaining the path of salvation. Of these, Ikshatrayi especially, that is, knowledge of the self, knowledge of fruitive acts, and logic, and also politics and economics, are different means of livelihood. All these are different subjects of Vedic education, and therefore I consider them temporary engagements. On the other hand, surrendering unto the Supreme Lord Vishnu is a factual gain in life, and I consider it the ultimate truth. Bhagavatam 7:6-26. So I thought that I would read, the original plan was I read from chapter 3, a few verses in a row. Let's see. This is about you get certain prescribed duties according to your nature. And it just tells how the material world works as a sort of a business dynamic here. Performing prescribed duty for doing this is 3.8. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Because he's talking about the demigod relationship, but he's also talking about sacrifice for Vishnu. So he's blending in the new level of understanding. And first of all, he's talking to Arjuna about do your karma, do your duty, and then he's blending in about Vishnu. Therefore, son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy with this yajna, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. It seems that he is blending in that it's for Vishnu. It's the business dynamic between the men and the demigods. But then it's for Vishnu. So Vishnu gave the system of sacrifices so that on earth, in our illusion and ignorance, we will follow the rules and have nice relationships and nice exchanges, and things will be prosperous. So this is within ignorance. So that, and it's ignorance, it's some knowledge, because it's you should do this for Vishnu, but since you are in ignorance, cooperate with the demigods, they will give you supplies. You need things, because you're living on earth now, so you need things. So cooperate with the demigods, they'll be pleased to help you. And like that. So 434, of course, Taviri Pranipatsena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Tekyanam Jnaninas Tattadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And the next one is important too. Yadvana punar moham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutane asheshani drakshyat chasi atmani atomai. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never again fall into such illusion, for by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are known. So you hear from the self-realized soul, and then you see. You hear, then you see. And then you'll be one who has seen too. That's the disciplic succession. So we hear from the pure spiritual master, not from anybody who can tell you some kind of material facts. Or even a mundane person who can quote Bhagavad Gita, but his mood is, this is for getting something good from the demigods, and or whatever. This is just some kind of, God is actually impersonal, whatever. But it says it this way. So somebody speaking like that to you, you won't get much light from him. But a pure devotee speaking from the heart about Krishna, about his actual realization, his love for Krishna, about the truth about Krishna, that it's full of light. It's full of light which will shine in your heart, and it's not different from the super soul in your heart guiding you. So the light shines in your heart too. So by this way, hearing from the pure devotee, and we have this opportunity every day. We can open Prabhupada's books, because his books they were actually spoken words first. They're recorded spoken words, and so it's the same exactly as hearing from him. And we hear him in our head when we read. When you read, the words that you read with your eyes turn into words in your head, turn into spoken words in your head. And so you're hearing, either way it's hearing. And we're hearing from the pure devotee. Every day we can open up, we can hear from the pure devotee. And that light is shining in our hearts. So gradually we see everything. And sometimes what you see is not always directly from what you read, but it's just more light. And so you see more of the material world in proper relationship as dull matter, and there's dull matter, there's individual souls, and there's Krishna. And you see more and more in this way. So eventually you'll be like Maharaj Parikshit and only care about... Let's see, did I even finish reading this one? Let's see. I don't think I finished the last 2 pages. The whole matter is concluded in the Bhagavad Gita 2:41 as Vya Vasayatmika Buddhi, or the absolute path of perfection. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana, a great Vaishnava scholar, defines this as Bhagavad Archana Rupaika Nishkama Karmavir Vishuddha Chitta, accepting transcendental loving service to the Lord as the prime duty, free from fruitive reaction. So Maharaj Parikshit was perfectly right when he firmly accepted the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, renouncing all karma-kandiya conception of life. He had a lot to renounce. He had everything perfect. Talk about prosperity. Everything was perfect, and he let go of all of it. He knew that he was going to leave it in 7 days. Which of us would be able to, you're going to die in 7 days, let go of everything? Hang on. Try to hang on 7 more days. Maybe we can fight it off. But he renounced everything. And why? Because there's so much satisfaction in hearing about Krishna. He'd been searching for Krishna all his life, and now here comes Shukadeva Goswami, and he's going to hear from the pure devotee about Krishna, and the rest is just he knows it to be nothing. He knows it to be nothing, so he lets go of it easily. So maybe I'll stop. I'll read one more time this is today's verse. Maharaj Parikshit said, O learned Brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord. So, comments and questions? Anything? Yes.
Listening this morning to one of the lectures of Srila Prabhupada, that this was during the last days of his...
I'm having trouble hearing.
Listening to one of the lectures given by Srila Prabhupada.
I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry. It's not, you're too quiet, too far away or something. Or slow, say, speak slower or something.
I was just listening this morning to a lecture from
Listen.
Prabhupada. When he was in his, the last few days of his Talavana. So he was speaking about elevation from the Tamaguna and elevating the consciousness and the being into the mode of goodness by association and taking prasad. He went back to the basics. So when you pick the verse, it just reminded me of that this morning. But you did mention associating with devotees and elevation of the, removing ourselves from the mode of ignorance into the mode of goodness and keeping that mode, associating it to go higher and higher into it and being able to distinguish where you are and where you want to be and how to pick yourself up from if you go off track. And also when we was in Parikram in Vrindavan, we were there a few days without Guru Maharaj. And everybody was we were just going about our own things. And then the Lord Bazaar craze went, you first in Vrindavan, you want to see everything, but then you also want to go shopping, so you get distracted. And then my godbrother told us, without Guru Maharaj or somebody who can open our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge and reveal the Dham, we'll be standing on a gold mine and not even knowing there's gold there, So we have to have that darkness removed and be enlightened to appreciate. So I just thought I'd share that.
It's nice, thank you. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Ah.
Thank you very much.